Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the council meeting of March 5th. We do a roll call this pledge. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, Donna, will you roll call?
Yes, I will. Councilmember Blush.
Here.
Councilmember Sherman. Here. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Marinesco.
Here.
Deputy Mayor is absent this evening, so Councilmember Stearns. Here. And Councilmember Gilmore.
Here. Thank you, Donna. Is
You're
there a
welcome.
motion to excuse Council for the
Motion
deputy
to excuse.
Okay. Second. Motion is second to excuse Deputy Mayor Schmidt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right. Council have any late items for the agenda? City manager?
Nothing
Right. Council have any board reports to share? Moving on.
We had sorry, there's still last meeting this morning, but there was actually nothing on the agenda. So we don't have fun. That was there and yeah.
That's kind of easy. All right, thank you. Any other board reports to share? Perfect. All right, has the council had a chance to review the consent agenda? Your motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, we have a proclamation of the American Red Cross. I will read that. City of Shelton American Red Cross Month, March 2024. Whereas the aftermath of the Civil War, Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross. Its national headquarters, just a few blocks from the White House, was built as a memorial to the women of the Civil War. For nearly 143 years, the employees, volunteers, and supporters of the American Red Cross have met loss and disaster with compassion and care. They remind us that we must leave no one behind. During March of this year, we celebrate the ordinary citizens who perform extraordinary acts of service, and we honor the Red Cross for its commitment to making our country and our world a better place. Whereas across America, we have seen the work of the Red Cross firsthand. When hurricanes make landfall, floodwaters rise, the Red Cross is ready to provide food, shelter, and emergency supplies. When wildfires spread and tornadoes uproot communities, volunteers arrive from around the country to help survivors heal, recover, and rebuild. We also turn to the American Red Cross to respond to crises overseas in the wake of natural disasters and preparation for emergencies before they happen. The old saying is still true today: the Red Cross is always there. Whereas during American Red Cross Month, we encourage Americans to learn more about the steps involved in donating blood by visiting www.redcross.org. If you can give blood, we hope you will. We also encourage our community to learn or teach first aid, participate in sound the alarm events to prevent home fires. It is in our community's DNA to lift each other up, especially on the front lines of emergencies and disasters. Now, therefore, we, the council, City of Shelton, do hereby proclaim March 2024 as American Red Cross Month, and we encourage all citizens to observe this month with relevant programs, ceremonies, and activities that support the work services of American Red Cross. And I will sign that tonight after our meeting. Right. We have one business item tonight, and it is Aaron going to talk to you about the resolution grants and fund for the Olympic Highway North Capitol.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. As I think I mentioned at the last meeting, last year we applied for and received Transportation Improvement Board grant funds in the magnitude of about $3.7 million, with some match money of about $400,000. Most of that is going to be covered in another grant that we received, about $380,000, that's being dedicated towards improving I Street, that intersection there, and putting crossings in, those kinds of things. What I have here is basically today is to educate you on this a bit and to just let you know that we want to move forward with acquiring that money. There is a grant agreement that's been included in your package. Again, no decision today. This is our first read for this. But the intent is, we'd like to basically reconstruct. And when I say reconstruct, I'm talking about the asphalt components out there on Olympic Highway North. Myself, as well as a few staff persons, spent about half a day out there, walked the entirety of the entire project and identified items that need to be at least looked at. I know 4.2 million, I think total is, it sounds like a lot of money, but the reality is, especially when you're dealing with asphalt and having to dig it out, it gets super expensive, super fast. So we're gonna approach this as we've identified what needs to happen out there. Ideally, I think ultimately what we want to try to get is a new asphalt section. And when I say that, I'm talking about from C Street all the way to Balls Phelan. We're going to try to, a lot of the curb and gutter and sidewalk are in not bad shape. There are a couple places where it is in bad shape. That'll need to be replaced. In addition, we have a signal out there that's currently hanging off of wires. If we can, we'd like to get some mast arms and a new controller box for that. We'll see how that plays out. Like I said, it gets super expensive, super fast, especially if you're digging out a foot of asphalt and having to put that back. So just again, education purposes right now to let you know, next meeting, my hope is that the council will consider passing this so that we can get going. The other little caveat to this is it's not a federal aid project right now, but the money that we're bringing in this match is a federal aid project. So what it's going to do is it's going to federalize the entire process, which is not wonderful news, but it means just a ton more work. But the reality is this project is definitely worth it, and we'll put in the time. So unless there's any additional questions, that's the first item.
Thank you, Donna. Anyone have public comment?
No, there isn't, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move to place resolution number 1320-0224 on the action agenda for the March 19th city council meeting for further consideration.
Second.
All right, comments or questions? All right. We have a motion and a second to place resolution number 1320-0224 on the action agenda for March 19th, 2024 for further consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the first action item is from Aaron.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it, Mayor, Council. I brought this to you last time. If you recall, we had a discussion about pavement condition index, PCI. Basically, that is something that you want to do every 3 to 5 years. It is become kind of a quasi condition grant boards in the sense that you want to have at least all your roadways identified and the types of condition that they're in. So what we're proposing is, and in 2023 for 2024, you all had budgeted 60K towards this. We reached out to Transpo, they're very well known. I've worked with them a lot myself, at least on the east side, as well as the Auburn and Kent area. They're very well known in this industry. They've done several of these PCI reports, and basically they look at 20 different parameters and then basically assign a score to that section of roadway, 0 to 100, 100 being it's top notch and great condition, 0 meaning it's in poor condition. So what we'll get is basically a GIS map with all the roads identified, and then we'll have to prioritize overlays and those kinds of things. It also helps develop a work program for our guys to do maintenance work out there, which I think is a very efficient and effective way to do things. So what we'd like to do is we'd like the opportunity to move forward with this using that on-call consultant roster to move forward with this. And I suspect within 3 or 4 months or so, we'll have this completed. Happy to bring that back to the council so you can actually see what the work product looks like. Unless there's other questions, nothing has changed since we discussed this last.
Thank you. Donna, anyone have public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
And we're reading of resolution number 1311-0124.
Resolution number 1311-0124. A resolution of the Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to approve a Public Works on-call consultant roster work order for conducting a pavement condition index study.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Move a motion.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt resolution number 1311-0124 as presented.
Second.
All right, comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 1311-0124 as presented. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Aaron. Public Works Director Jay Harris is information for us about buying a vehicle for the storm department.
Mayor and Council, Jay Harris, your Public Works Director. The 2024 budget included $50,000 to purchase a new replacement vehicle for the stormwater technician. It's going to replace a 2009 Ford Escape that is definitely near end of life. Anyways, will improve safety and reliability for us. We're proposing to get an all-wheel drive vehicle. That way we can use it in inclement weather, that sort of thing. We budgeted $50,000. The cost of the vehicle is about $35,000, which is good. And I've had no changes to the proposed resolution since the last meeting.
Okay, Don, anyone have a public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, maybe I will read resolution number 1315-0124.
Resolution number 1315-0124. A resolution of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to sign a purchase order for the acquisition of a 2024 Ford Maverick all-wheel drive pickup to support stormwater department operations.
Thank you, Don.
You're
Do we have
welcome.
a motion?
Move to adopt resolution number 1315-0124 as presented.
Second.
Comments or questions? About getting it cheaper. All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 1315-0124 presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now, Jordan, Park and Recreation Supervisor Jordan Crumple, has information for us about appointment to the Park Advisory Board.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight I bring back to you our open position for the Parks Advisory Committee. We had one open position and we're planning to fill that with our very own Kathy McDowell. She would be committed to an incomplete term, which would end at the end of December of 2024. Other than that, no changes. Happy to answer any questions.
Don, thank you, Jordan. Don, anyone have public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the appointment of Kathy McDowell, the Parks and Recreation Citizens Advisory Committee.
Have comments or questions? Knew you wouldn't be gone very long. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Kathy McDowell to Parks and Recreation System Advisory Committee. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now, Senior Planner Jason Doe has information for us about approval of the Metal Edge final plat.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As I relayed at your February 20th meeting, we're kind of here for more of an administrative task at this point. The Meadows Edge final plat that we're asking for authorization of the mayor to sign on behalf of the city council for was approved through Mason County as a 36 lot residential plat just north of the Shelton Springs subdivision across from the high school up south of Island Lake. The city reviewed it for utilities, water, sewer, storm drainage, roadways, parks, you name it, lot sizes, and also annexed the site because they're going to be relying on city streets, city utilities, everything to support the plat. All the improvements are being installed per the approvals and per city standard. The improvements that aren't completed yet have been fully bonded as allowed by state law. And nothing's changed since the last meeting, and we're just asking for the council to authorize the mayor to sign on the final plat map so it can be recorded later this week.
Thank you, Jason. Donna, anyone have public comment?
No, there isn't, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a motion?
Move that we authorize the mayor to sign the final plat for the Meadows Edge subdivision.
Again.
Comments or questions?
Rooftops,
Rooftop, Jim.
let's go.
36. Correct. We have a motion and a second to authorize me to sign the final plat for Meadows Edge subdivision. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. City Manager Mark Ziegler, and Commissioner Bird about Mason County garbage rates.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Back to you again from the briefing 2 weeks ago on the February 20th. Just as kind of refresher, back in 2017, the city entered into agreement with Mason County Garbage to provide recycling, yard waste and garbage services in the city of Shelton. Per the contract with Mason County Garbage, there are allowable increases in rates outright. Those include the CPI, basically an inflationary index increase with a floor of 2.5% and a ceiling of 4.5% annually for the first 10 years. After the 10 years, that floor and that ceiling are removed. Second increase allowed outright is passing on of the tipping fees, the dumping fees out in Mason County transfer station. So if Mason County increases the fee to dump your garbage out there, those are passed on directly. Those are realized by Mason County Garbage when they dump those are passed on directly to the customer. In section 8E, there is a section for unforeseen costs. And changes in federal, state, or local laws or regulations that result in change in circumstances or hardships for the contractor in performing the agreement. So Mason County Garbage, as you remember, has put forth a request to increase some rates based on those unforeseen charges due to increased fuel costs based on Climate Commitment Act implications, and I believe that I don't know the entirety of the system there, but or how it's set up, but the carbon reduction and the increased fuel rates are, which is what may be referred to as a gas tax, but so those fees would be as proposed by Mason County Garbage at 20 cents per month for residential customers and $1.63 per month for commercial customers. I provided council with an email to answer some of the questions previously, so hopefully that answered some of the questions you had after the briefing, and I know Mr. White is here to answer any other questions that you may have if you see fit moving forward.
Don, I must have a public comment.
No, there isn't, Mr. Mayor.
Ever read the resolution number 1318-0224.
Resolution number 1318-0224. A resolution of the council of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing Mason County Garbage Company to increase solid waste and recycling rates in the city of Shelton through December 31st, 2024.
Do we have a motion? Call for a motion. Resolution number 1318-0224 dies for a lack of motion. All right. We have another item from Mark.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Bringing to you tonight the resolution approving the MOU with Mason County for 0.09 funds that be distributed to the city in the amount of $125,000 for upgrades of the satellite wastewater treatment plant's headworks system. So that's basically sums it up. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
We have a public comment, Donna.
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
Reading resolution number 1319-0224.
Resolution number 1319-0224. A resolution of the council of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to sign a memorandum of understanding with Mason County for rural county 0.09 sales tax funds in the amount of $125,000.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Resolution, that's correct. Yeah, I approve resolution number 1319-0224 as presented.
Question. All right, we have motion and second to approve resolution number 1319-0224 as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, the last action item is also from Mark.
All right, keep going. Council, for your benefit, I'm asking for a waiver of the 3-touch rule tonight. This is a program and project that's been in place since, let's see, mid-year 2022, correct? Yeah. The DCR, the Designated Crisis Responder contract with Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization. This funds our embedded designated crisis responder in our police department. We've seen great results from having this individual here and having this service provided. The contract with Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization allows the city to receive $100,000 to offset the costs, the total costs of that program through fiscal year 2024, starting January 1 through December 31st. The second contract within the packet you have today is with Olympic Health and Recovery Services. They are the organization that provides the DCR. So TMBHO, there's some Mason Behavioral Health, provides the funds to the city. Olympic Health and Recovery Services provides the actual staff to provide that service. It's essentially a net zero project. We receive $100,000 from TMBHO to provide the service. We pay OCRS the $100,000 to have staff in place. So our police department is very happy with the service provided. The DCR has been in place since day one, so he's familiar with the community, some of the clientele that is regularly in place in this community as well, and continually checks on those, works with Mason General, the county sheriff's office, as well as other jurisdictions within Shelton. So happy to answer any questions the council may have.
All right, Donna, any time for public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to waive the three-touch rule and approve the contract with Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization and the Olympic Health Recovery Services for designated crisis responder services and authorize the city manager to.
Second.
All right, comments or questions?
Can we get two?
There is not funding available at this point for two. Mason County has some, they're not DCRs, but they are co-responders, sorry, yeah, within that we work closely with as well. So there is some backup if our DCR is not in-house or working the day. So.
I've heard great things from our first responders about the DCR, and the co-responders don't have as much authority in DCR, so the DCR being here locally can actually help the co-responders in situations where they can't take somebody that needs to go somewhere, so.
Yes.
DCR is very important, it's been very successful, in my opinion. Glad that we've got partners with.
They can actually get individuals that are in crisis committed and get them into the services they need when they're not able to make those decisions themselves.
We have a motion and a second to waive the three-touch rule and approve the contract with Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administration Services Organization and Olympic Health and Recovery Services for designated crisis responder services and authorize the city manager to sign. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mark, do you have a report tonight?
Just a couple things for you tonight, Mayor. Welcome Kathy McDowell back to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Prior to her term on commission, I worked with Kathy on that committee a few years ago. So great having Kathy back in the fold there with that group. They do important work for us in the community, and it's great sounding board for our residents to be involved in. We had some relatively good news today out of the state legislature. The House and the Senate both agreed on their supplemental budget today that includes $200,000 for design of the Simpson Railroad multimodal trail project. So we'll be seeing, unless it hasn't been adopted yet, so I guess I won't say it's a definite, but I think all signs point to that being included in the budget. We're still awaiting the transportation budget and the potential for some funds for Waltz Nealon Boulevard to be included in there. Session's supposed to end on Thursday, so hopefully we will know soon, and we'll have some additional funds thanks to our 35th delegation, which has been worked for us quite diligently over Olympiad. See, we are working on the the welcome video, the information video that's on the city's website now. Many of you have noticed that it's out of date. So the organization CGI that we worked with in the past is coordinating the update of that video to highlight Shelton and the amenities that we have available to us. It's no cost to the city. They sell advertising to support that video. It's embedded in on the city's website. So you should see some information on that fairly soon as we work through the progression of updating that video. I think that is all I have for you tonight.
Any questions for city manager? Thanks, Mark. And we're now with general public comment, or invited to make comment on any topic that was on the agenda. Donna, we can inside another one.
We don't have anyone signed up, Mr. Mayor. Let me look at Zoom here. Okay, we have Colleen Carmichael on Zoom.
Good evening, Mayor Inesco and fellow council members. My name is
You're
Colleen.
muted, or we can't hear you.
I shouldn't be. Can you not hear me?
Can't hear you.
Still can't hear me?
Volume down or TV down.
I don't know.
Donna, can you hear me now? Nope. Okay.
What's wrong?
Halfway.
Donna?
Log back in here. Well, she's logging in.
She's logging back
Is there
in.
anybody else?
There isn't anyone else on Zoom at this time.
I'm sure Mark probably wants me to.
We after Dean speaks, that if we could maybe log up on one of the computers here, maybe we can hear. her.
Yeah, see if she can log back in if there's something on her end.
Okay, I just want to give a state of Shelton address, kind of like the president and the governor does with the State of the Union or State of the State. Let's see, we had 3 individuals walking their dog that took a shit in the crosswalk that I had to have both of them go back and clean up. This has happened 3 times. They both threatened to pull me out of the truck and beat my ass. Can you imagine that? All the violence that we have? Chased off 6 individuals from the back of Second Street Hair Design, where they're notorious from hanging out, doing drugs, hiding in the back. One was in the front by the alcove. We had a mental health situation by one of our council member stores. Lady had no shoes, crazy babble, belongings all over the sidewalk, deviated at least a dozen individuals, including a county commissioner that didn't want to have that situation right there in front of it. That individual ended up in somebody's store making snow angels on the floor, screaming, yelling, causing all kinds of issues. Why are they even out in the first place? Let's see. We had a full-on makeout session going on between 2 individuals sitting at the Evergreen Square on the bench. We have a new car that's parked in the Evergreen Square, been there for like 4 out of the 5 nights. Don't we have a no street camping ordinance? I think we passed that. I wonder if I did a request on that, how many times we've actually had it enforced. I bet you it's 0. We had convicts dropped off at the transit center. Individuals sitting in their trucks, going into their businesses, didn't even want to get out of their car and go into their businesses for fear of that. We had 2 people sleeping underneath our train with their dog. And let's talk about dogs. Don't we have a dog licensing? Don't we have a dog at large? You know, we don't enforce those anymore, I guess. So what are they even doing with pets? Community lifelines continued conditional use permit violations. I mean, how many violations does it take to have somebody have a license pulled? Is it 927? Is it 628? Is it before we increased our bed space from 35 to 55, or is it after 55? Because ever since they've been approved, or we started to hear them on that, I've got countless pictures. I'll be sending them to you guys. People sleeping on their property, drugs, messes, garbage, free, dogs running around everywhere. We have
a bike wagon that's been showing up in different parking spots. The gentleman's been sleeping in, as far as I know, you're not supposed to sleep on a single story anywhere in the city. That's not, there's not an ordinance, you can't have that. Yet we have the bike rack tied up on the back or chained up in the back of St. David's Pantry. So maybe we go down there and take a picture of that, take a look at that and get that removed. So there you go. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, we'll see if Colleen can go.
Can you guys hear me this time?
Find it. Talk again.
I can hear you, but it's echoey.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not my night.
If it doesn't bother you, just go ahead.
It doesn't bother me. I'm happy to speak. So good evening, Mayor Nesco, fellow council members. My name is Colleen Carmichael. I'm the Executive Director of Quixote Communities. In a recent urban affairs review published in December of 2023, a study was conducted to see if quality of life ordinances were successful in getting homeless into services. The quality of life ordinance requires unsheltered homeless people to refrain from sleeping, sitting, sheltering, or conducting other acts of living on the streets and urge them to utilize social services and find indoor housing. But shelters are overburdened and low-income housing is not available. So enforcement of these ordinances has forced many homeless residents to either violate the law by sheltering in public or by moving along to somewhere more hidden and less safe. The Coalition on Homelessness studied this dynamic known as the churn, whereby quality of life policing mostly results in homeless people moving from neighborhood to neighborhood and town to town, but without reducing the number of homeless over the long run. Data from the survey also indicates that 40% of respondents did try to use indoor shelters, but 73% of those were turned away from overcrowded shelters at least once. Based on this data, quality of life policing could perhaps be justified from a coercive care perspective if there were substantial increase in services. The fact remains that the strong majority of respondents reported inadequate services and deteriorating quality of life. If policymakers want to reduce the number of homeless people in their city, data supports affordable housing and increased services. In Washington state, the Department of Commerce and U.S. Census found that 45,900 units of affordable housing, that's 50% AMI or less, need to be built every year for the next 22 years to meet the demand. And in 2023 point in time count for Mason County, there are 381 individuals who were homeless, and 246 of those individuals were unsheltered. According to the 2023 National Alliance End Homeless data, Washington State's chronic homeless population accounts for 31% of the total homeless. So using those percentages, Mason County has 118 individuals in need of permanent supportive housing, and the other 263 in need of rapid rehousing, transitional housing, or emergency shelter. We can use this data to help providers apply for more grants to fill the gaps, but we are still in desperate need of more affordable housing units in Mason County. Thank you.
Public comment, Donna.
That is all we have, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Council, we do have discussion tonight. All right. Our next meeting is Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, at 6 p.m. We also have a session March 12th at 6 p.m. This meeting is adjourned at 6:33 p.m.